A quick look at Huawei's lineup while we start tearing into reviews and other comparisons. In the hand, the P10 gave off a much better first impression to what we saw on paper and in press briefings. I'm personally stoked to be using the dazzling blue variant. It would seem Huawei is adopting something of the TikTok strategy we used to enjoy on Samsung handsets. The phablet released at the end of the year representing the vanguard tech platform, and the phone following at the beginning of the next year adopting those tech improvements. For those curious, you can pause the video here to get the full rundown on the specs for both phones. And with that out of the way, if you've been following our Mate 9 coverage, there won't be a lot of surprises here looking at the P10, though personally, I already miss the IR blaster where I use the Mate 9 as a universal remote. Otherwise, we have the same screen resolution, the same chipset, same RAM, our review units have the same built-in storage, same superchargers, and for the smaller P10, nearly identical camera hardware from what we can determine in our early testing, with one small trade. The P10 loses the focusing microphone audio trick from the Mate 9 in favor of an enhanced beauty portrait mode. We'll be trying to get our hands on a P10 Plus to do a more in-depth camera examination, but for those interested, you can check out our Mate 9 real camera review for a really deep dive into camera technology. Spoiler, it's a nice improvement over the P9 and the Honor 8. The P10 also delivers another baby step exercise in co-branding. Both have Leica badges on the back. The Mate 9 will eventually adopt Amazon's Alexa, and the P10's photo gallery is augmented by GoPro for built-in video editing and sharing. Huawei increasingly reaching out to partners to flesh out the software experience. The headphone game is also pretty similar, where we might see some minor improvements. They're well within the margin of manufacturing error. A 1 decibel improvement to the noise floor, or 2 decibel improvement to dynamic range. Where the P10 reproduces more of the frequency range of 24-bit 96K files, it seems to do so with a touch more distortion, and even disabling the headphone DTS option, we see more EQ tweaking. This is all adequate to good performance, but like the Mate 9 before it, the P10 likely won't make our audiophile list at the end of this year. The major audio difference comes down to speaker tech, where the stereo speakers on the Mate noticeably outperform its smaller sibling. We're not surprised at all to see the Mate 9 score a battery win, as it has a significantly larger capacity, but the P10 in our media test posted competitive numbers with other current flagship phones. The main differences between these two won't be found in spec sheets or benchmarks. More, they represent separate philosophies. We certainly wouldn't call the Mate unattractive, but the P series increasingly looks to entice a more emotional response from consumers. The aesthetic attention to details like syncing the camera module flush with the rear housing, offering bolder color options, and experimenting with navigation controls. It's overly simplistic to call this a fashion phone, but it's easy to see a targeted focus on different demographics. And Huawei is probably correct here. Unique doesn't always have to mean some kind of new tech feature. Appealing to a broader consumer base, showing off a shimmery backplate which is virtually impervious to fingerprint smudges is a unique talking point for a lifestyle gadget. That this unique feature is also backed up by top-tier performance and an excellent camera is very encouraging. In handling both of these devices, we're hopeful Huawei maintains this split. Some consumers will appreciate an everything in the kitchen sink approach. Some folks will want something which better complements their personal style. Having options for both, with a heavy overlap of hardware and software, sounds like a successful strategy to us. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for our full coverage of the Huawei P10 and help us out with some sharing on your favorite social networks. For Pocketnow, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, some gadget guy on Twitter and Instagram, and I will catch you all on the next comparison.